Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Next Women in Mortgages podcast. I'm joined today by Katy Lehman, a nervous system and embodiment coach. Me and Katy met online a couple of months ago now. We had our first chat and we just really clicked. And I really loved what Katy's doing. And I wanted her to come in and just talk with us all a bit about her and what she's doing in her life at the moment. So, Katy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So, your journey's obviously gone from mortgages and finance into this kind of new, different wellness area. So do you want to talk to us a bit about your journey in the mortgage industry first?
Yeah, absolutely. In the mortgage industry for 23 years, technically still am, because I still have a client book that I'm still sort of looking after at the moment. But yeah, went from being a hairdresser when I left school to then totally switching and getting a job as a mortgage junior, office junior in a mortgage company where my mum worked. And then, worked my way up to admin, processor, because they were like a master broker, to underwriter, and then worked my way up throughout the industry, working for banks and building societies, auditing their underwriting mandates and the processes. Then worked all over the UK and Europe doing that on a sort of contractor basis. It was an amazing opportunity, amazing job. And then got into second charge mortgages, working for lenders and master brokers up in and around the Northwest. And then estate agency. And then I always knew that I wanted to own my own firm. And then I had my daughter and then set up my own firm in partnership with somebody else. And subsequently built that. It went amazing just before lockdown, which was interesting. The end of 2019, we set that up. And then I subsequently sold it last year to venture into, my new era full time, pretty much.
So you've literally worked really across the industry. That is a real wide resume there.
Yeah, I like variety, and it's taken me a long time to. It's taken. I'm very much like I'll learn something and I'll master it, and then I'm like, okay, what's next? Very much like that, and that's actually something that I've come to appreciate about myself, because there was a long time that I judged myself, like, why can't I just settle into something? Or
no, I get that.
Because I used to love bridging and commercial because it was quick. Every case was complex, every case was different. But I just really wanted to, when I opened my own firm, to have that real sort of broad spectrum of the industry so that I could really advise as best as I could. And then, something happened and I ended up selling last year.
So are you okay to talk us through a bit about that? And what happened and what kind of led you to kind of make that sale and that decision? Because it's obviously feels like it would have been a massive change to your life. In kind of what like from going from where a lot of us listening and on here are probably sitting right now, in that high level writing business, turning over, like I just said, we were just having a conversation. I'm, my weeks are 60-hour weeks, to kind of where you are now, trying to coach and support people to kind of have a little bit more wellness in their life. Do you want to? Are you okay to share?
100%. I'm very comfortable. Basically, some sort of personal things had happened, as things do in life. And after the birth of the daughter, just a lockdown, like there was things over a period of time that had kind of caught up with me that I wasn't aware that had caught up with me. And I was working till 2 a.m, sometimes even 3, 4 a.m, which is great for business, right? But I basically I burnt out, and it was really difficult for me to cope with that, and I ended up going down a more sort of holistic road for my recovery, it's the reason why it was a very difficult decision for me to sell my mortgage business, because it was literally 20 odd years in the making of me working towards and thinking, this is what I want, this is the goal. And ultimately, when I got to it, when we were at the sort of the height of our success, after sort of 18 months, 2 years, we were opening an office, we were we designed the whole thing, it was everything that I'd wished for, right? And on the face of it, you would never know. Everything was amazing, everything was working out, but behind closed doors, it was like the worst point physically and sort of mentally I've ever been. And being in that in that sort of realm of two realities was just, I just couldn't cope with it. So I ended up sort of, like I said, going down a more holistic road for my recovery. And it was very much around just getting better. And I never saw that I would ever sort of not have the mortgage business at all. But naturally, the curious creature that I am, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I want to learn, why did certain sort of practices have such a profound effect on the mind and the body. And then I trained as a breathwork facilitator, and then I was helping people sort of as my passion project on the side of my business. And so where the business focus was here for the mortgages, the sort of the focus on my passion project was here. And over time, that balance was really coming into play. And I was really seeing how, aside of mortgages and how my approach was with my clients, how much of an impact I could have to help people not go through what I went through, or at least help them recover. And it was a real battle for me for a good 18 months to really embrace this. Why would you want to sell, Kate? This is everything that you've ever dreamed of. You've got success. You don't have to think about anything. It's happening. Why do you want to change it? And I came to that decision because my feeling is that if I can at least prevent people from going through what I went through, or help them come back and recover in a way that's empowering, in a way that dealing with it, and actually, like, the main thing is the empowerment thing and embodying who you are, bringing in this alignment. That's my focus. So the byproduct of that was I can't do both. So it was very much like a death and rebirth, and it wasn't an easy process, but one that I had to follow for what I felt was right.
Well, I think I think a lot of us will be able to resonate with that kind of feeling of, you get that where you think you wanted to be, you get that success, you've built that business. Once you're there, what does that actually feel like day to day today? What what do you feel different? Do you feel more successful? And I don't know. I think as personally for me as a woman, I find that a little bit uncomfortable celebrating that success sometimes as well. So we're not taught that well to kind of push, to kind of big ourselves up in that way necessarily all the time. So you even feel a little bit uncomfortable being in that place as well as God, this is actually a lot of stress. So it's kind of a lot of I think there's a lot of us that will probably be able to resonate with that feeling. And especially, over the last couple of years in mortgages, the burnout and the mental health toll it's taken on, all of us. I think is just off the scale. Like, we've both been in the industry a really long time. I don't think the mental health in this industry has been as low as it is right now ever. And I think, there's a lot of people out there trying to do a lot to try and help that. But I think it's probably getting worse, if anything, because it's just tough. And I think that's why I wanted to have this chat with you, because I think it's really good for, us to look at other ways we can try and help ourselves and help each other, and tools and things we can do and other avenues we can follow to try and, if we make the decision to jump out or we make the decision to carry on, but what can we do to try and get it to work? So what drew you to this then? Because this is like, it's not really like, finance is kind of quite analytical, right? This is like the complete other side of that to a degree.
It's completely different. And I think that's where, again, I did it for so long. I think I qualified initially as a breathwork facilitator. Mine's gone blank. I'm sure it was like end of 21, I think it was. And I didn't, it's totally different. And I had to make sure that I wasn't going to just be like jump ship, and just like, right, sell the business, this is my focus. There was a feeling within me for sure that was like, oof, okay, this is lighting me up. in a different way. But then, I mean, even now, put me in front of, clients that are first time buyers, or they want to do a remortgage, and, like, I love it because I love helping people. But I did ultimately come to the decision as like, I cannot do both full time. Like, it's just, it's not sustainable for me. I'm just going to burn out again, because my intention has always been just to help people. I mean, even with my mortgage clients, the way we positioned our business is that we very much like mentored people through the whole process. I got deep with my clients. Some of my clients would ask me to go to the housewarming parties. I got on a level with them that was very deep professional, but a very it was more than mortgages. It just always was. So this whole coaching and mentoring side of me, it's always been there. And it was just this was just coming through in a more intentional way. So the depth of where I've gone to with my training and my learning has been very much, I had to make sure that I was consistently getting this nudge of, this is, as much as I don't want to let go of what I've built, there was just this inherent, I have to, because this is calling me more. And it's a difficult one to sort of get to. But yeah, some people say it's quite spiritual what I do, but spirituality for me is just self-connection. It's just about being connected to who you are. And for someone that was very sort of self-aware for a long period of time, to then waking up one morning and realising I don't even know who I am anymore, because I've got everything that I wanted and I'm not enjoying any of it. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know how to celebrate it, like you said before. So my trainings took me very heavy on the science, to bring that sort of science and spirituality together. So I'm excited to sort of bring that out into the world a lot more, because I have to know the why. There's an inherent feeling that you get with practicing any sort of presence or anything that we do, but having the science to bring in some logic to it also helps as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. It sounds like it. You're right, though. I think you saying that there is quite a good link. There is, and it's one of the reasons why, some brokers are, I think, and women generally are quite successful, because we do forge that kind of more, forge that more firming relationship with our customers, where we are mentoring them through stuff. And, some of them do end up becoming friends, and things like that, because it is a very close relationship. So, I can see the parallels with that part of it. So for anyone who might be unfamiliar with what it is that you do you want to talk us through what you do for your clients now when on this side?
So mostly at the moment, unless you sort of live in and around Cheshire, a lot of my work is based online with clients, just for location, for logistics. But my passion is to help people regulate their nervous systems and integrate who they are. Find out how can we basically get better at feeling and experiencing life on a day-to-day basis, rather than, necessarily meeting or reaching for other things. For example, bottle of wine every night to just cope or just get by, or why did you even set your business up in the first place? Generally, I will probably assume most people set their business up, especially women, to have that work-life balance. Let's actually have a look at that. How is that working for you? Because for me, I was able to do the school run every day, but was I working until 2:00 in the morning? Yes. Then was I knackered doing the school run? Yes. Right. Okay. And my work isn't about sort of stripping you apart and, where you have to leave the mortgage industry and you're going to, the whole sacrifice isn't going to be that this is what happens. This is why I wanted to do what I do, because I don't necessarily want people to get to the point where I did. I wish I had a coach to help me kind of not get to the point where I wanted to sell, but this is just what I feel I'm meant to do. So it was meant to happen this way. But allow people to have a space where you're able to get better, basically, physically, mentally, more clarity. So people will say to me, as you ask, you say, what do you do? Breathwork is ultimately kind of like the roots of what I do. That's the main basis of it. But it's more than just breathwork as well. It's working with your nervous system on how you can regulate that's right for you. there is no blueprint to this. There isn't like, okay, week 1 looks like this, week 2 looks like this, week 3. I attune to you. If you were my client, you are my person, and it's going at a way that's going to help you regulate your nervous system so you can feel things better on a day-to-day basis, make more positive choices, feel better, have a better quality of your family life, your friend life, your work life, even, and have that success then breed out into all of areas of life, your business, you know, set better boundaries. There's lots to it, basically, to try and be succinct as possible.
Yeah, because I think it's just so easy, isn't it, particularly when we're all busy, to just kind of fall into surviving each day and then not really ever take too much stock on where you are and what you actually want or what you're actually doing. You're just pushing through each day. And like you said, you know, it's really easy to pick up a glass of wine at the end of every day. I've been there. It's really easy to do those kind of things that aren't healthy for us and just be stuck in that cycle and not know how to get out of it. And not know where to even start. And you know, I know we were talking slightly before we came on about the small changes, not the massive let's do all of this change.
100%. It's like if you're going to go to a PT, for example, most PTs, right, are going to say to you, right, week 1, you need to go to the gym 5 days a week. You need to find these 5 hours. You know, we're going to change your meal plans and this, that, and the other. No wonder it's not sustainable because it's too much for the nervous system. If you're operating on that high stress for a long period of time, that's my speciality, is burnout prevention, recovery, stress integration. You know, stress is the main thing. If you overload your system with too much, you are, one, going to feel rubbish because you're going to not be one, enjoying it, and 2, you're not able to implement it.
No.
And I'm about making these nuanced, can feel sometimes quite basic at the start, changes, but having that support is going to allow you to build that resilience to then be able to take on more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think so too. I definitely agree. I was sharing with you about my journey this year into sobriety and how I've changed that one thing of not drinking alcohol from the beginning of the year. And that's the only thing I focused on for the last 6 months because it just felt like too much to try and do everything else on top of it. And now I finally feel like I'm at that stage where I can do the next step.
What's next?
So what's next that I can do to help my well-being? And I feel like that, you know, and it's just been a journey to get there. But I think you're right. I think I love the idea of it being small tweaks and small changes to kind of reset us and just help us shift down a degree of where we were in that stress. Because it's so easy to get wrapped up in it and just not see through the trees.
You can't. Yeah. Literally, when a bit of science here is when you're in that high stress sort of response, it's called a sympathetic. You've got a couple of different nervous systems, right? When you need to be in that survival that you spoke about before, majority of people in the mortgage industry, business owners in general in the UK, or high performers, professionals, even if you're not, to be fair, the majority of the population are operating on that sympathetic nervous system response, that high stress, hypervigilant, 3 million things to do every day. If you're not able to come off that and step out of that lane, I've said this a few times, it's the car that is driving at 100 miles an hour. What happens to that car eventually? It's going to run out of fuel. And it's looking at being able to come out, being able to work with your nervous system to be able to come off that, plug your phone in and recharge, you know, see your body as a phone.
Yeah.
If your laptop was on empty, what were you going to do? You're going to plug your laptop in. And I teach women and men how to find out what their charge is, so that they can understand how do I recharge what I've just output in my business, so that you can enjoy your businesses more.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of shame and a bit taboo to like invest in yourself as a business owner. But I'm telling you now, the billionaires of this world have coaches. They have people that they go to, you know, to support them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shame as a business owner, like, oh, we're the ones that are meant to like be okay and like wear the mask, you know.
Yeah.
Come to me, I'll help you.
There's so much pressure there. Yeah, there's so much pressure there to be the one that has all the answers and is always the one that, you know, is stable and on top of everything. And, you know, there's a lot of pressure sitting there.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of shame to actually go, oh,
yeah.
Does that make me, you know, a fraud if I feel like I need that?
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be a lot of imposter for that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and especially when you lump in that, you know, a lot of female advisors are probably doing quite a lot of caring duties at home as well. So, you know, we've got children or young children, teenagers, we've got a household we're trying to run. We probably aren't the only full-time worker in the house either, because let's be honest, it's not that usual for the dads to be part-time or not working. So if we're out of work working full-time, if we are still with our partners, they probably are also working full-time. You know, so there's a lot of pressure, not just in your work day-to-day life, but also as soon as you step through that door. I know there's been days where I've gone home from work and I've had a really stressful day and I've walked into the house and thought, God, this is just as stressful as being at work. Like,
absolutely.
I should have just stayed in the office, you know? Yeah. So, you know, sometimes, you know, having the kids and having, you know, a family life, it can just be just as much stress outside. So that's not always, you know, as much as we want to say spending time with our family is the de-stressor, it's not always.
Absolutely.
You know, for a lot of us, you know, and I know that there's a few of us, I know, especially in the group, that have got children with additional needs. So, you know, that just adds a whole nother level, right? So you're going home and you're not even getting that de-stress, look after yourself time either there. So, and then it kind of becomes a question of, well, where's my time? Like, where is it? And I need it because I'm going to burn out.
Exactly. And this is quite, and I love that you've spoken to all that, because it is so real. And literally that's how I position myself to go, that's where I come in. Because women as well, generally, we're going to be great at seeing what other people need. We're women. That's what we do. We're bloody good at it, right? It's part of our genetics. It's just who we are. But to take it on for ourselves, very, very, very different sort of ball game there.
Yeah.
And it's quite a sort of a strong analogy to make, but my stance on this and where my message is rather than seeing self-development like this or receiving some kind of support or, and you know, a way for you to learn how to sharpen your toolkit, right, for yourself, your well-being toolkit, right? I'm not talking about let's just talk about it and make it look like we're doing the things by doing the things. I'm on about really doing the things, like, so it feels that you are able to get to a point where it doesn't feel so much that it's a chore.
Yeah.
That's not what it is. Where I want to get to is to switch that mindset from where it feels indulgent to, I have a responsibility to look after this. That's the responsibility. It's kind of having that kind of mindset with it, because the impact of long-term high impact of stress, you know, the impact of that is 80% of all illnesses and disease have a direct link between unintegrated long periods of high stress. Like, it does make you ill. So that's where it's looking at it and all these things, all these responsibilities, you know, the businesses that you have, the families that you have, the friends, the family, like all the things. We're not taught in our society that actually it's your responsibility to look after yourself.
Yeah.
It's quite indulgent to have a PT, for example, or, you know, I'm just trying to use things that might be more easy to identify what having a coach might look like. But it's not. It's like you've got responsibility in my mind, and it kind of feels a bit less self-indulgent to go, oh, actually, I hadn't thought about it like that.
Well, I really agree. Like, you know, even if you break it down to like, if you're just advising, like your clients are relying on you, you know, they need you there. To suddenly not be there because you suffer burnout, that is going to impact them. You know, if you're running a business and you've got employees, like, does that business does it run without you there? If you didn't look after yourself and you got to the point of, you know, extreme burnout, extreme stress, or got illnesses related to that were not helped by this stress, you know, does your family life still function particularly well if you're not able to do the things you do? So I totally am on board with, we need to be looking after ourselves as well. And I think, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I do think it's something that women in particular are really not great at doing. And I think we're also not great at asking for help, and we're not great at admitting we need it. And I think that it's very easy for us to kind of try and just, do that British carry on and just, push through and keep going, even though we're really, really struggling inside. And given the stress of our jobs in particular, I think it's, the industry as a whole at real risk of, losing a load of advisors due to burnout.
100%. And I'm one of those figures, right? Technically. Yeah. But my focus is to try and help people not get to that point. Yeah. And that's where my purpose now comes in, is to try and be that crutch and go, okay, I can support you to do this, so that the byproduct of it is, and you've touched on a really good point there as well in terms of your client. There's the other angle of it is if you're burning out and you're on a high stress, are you actually really engaged and present with your client? Are you calm enough to really listen to those nuanced, the eye contact, noticing, that's ruffled a feather, that's not right, or I've picked up on, especially having protection conversations. Yeah. You have responsibility. Again, you have a responsibility as an advisor, as a mortgage owner, mortgage broker, as a business owner, to be able to be in tune and be really present with that other person, to give them the best service that A, they might be paying you for, and B, looking at it on a business level. This is where I've worked with a couple of firms as well, is actually, I noticed it. The more regulated I got, my protection sales went up. Yeah. Because I am with that client.
And you're not thinking about the next thing you've got to do.
I'm not over there. Exactly. Your head. Yeah. Right. What is it? 5-year fix. Right. Okay, great. Yeah. We'll just, no. You're able to give that time because you're regulated, because you're not high stress. Yeah. You're a bit more grounded and a bit more present. That makes sense?
Yeah, 100%. It makes so much sense. So what advice would you give to women in mortgages then who are feeling overwhelmed or stuck or struggling?
I think, do you know what? My advice would be is to look yourself in the mirror. Ask yourself and write a question down and just go, how do I feel? How do I feel? And really identify what it is that you feel. And know that you're not alone. Yeah. Know that you're not a failure for maybe not coping, or I don't like saying not coping, but you know what I mean. Our society hasn't been built to allow us to understand how our nervous system works, how we need to, what will be good to replenish our energy. The fact that just because it works for, Debbie, the other advisor in the firm, and it's not working for you doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. Like, we're all wired extremely differently. So, society tries to put us in so many boxes, and this figuring out who you are and what's in your box, and knowing that it's okay for you to be able to reach out to or look for something a little bit different, or just take that pause, have that bath. And that the pause though can be difficult when you don't generally tend to pause. So again, that can also be I struggle to switch off. It's not easy. I was the same, So my advice would be just know that you're not on your own. It's not a you thing. It's just our society, like I said, it doesn't help us. It doesn't gear us up for these things. And no one really teaches you how to be a business owner. They tell you, there's courses, for example, on how to make better sales, how to do this, and, from a business level, but there's not necessarily too much around you. No. And, if you're able to be the best version of yourself, or an even better version of yourself, you're going to, feel it better. You're going to experience life on a day-to-day better. Experience life better on a day-to-day basis. And the ripple effect of that is, business level, potentially more business, you know, better quality relationships at home with your workforce. The ripple effect is it starts with you. And I said, that the byproduct is so many positives, but you're not on your own.
You know, one of the things I found that I started doing to pause, that's actually really helped me is going to the cinema. Because I cannot do anything else. I can't pick up my phone. I can't wander off. I can't look at emails. I can't do anything else other than sit at that screen and watch that film, because it's just rude. You just wouldn't, right? So
you're not allowed.
Yeah. So, right? But that's fine. It's forcing me to sit and pause and watch and not do anything else. And so I'm now going to the cinema to see films that I probably wouldn't have bothered to go see, to get that pause, to spend that, you know, 2 hours, hour and a half, where I can't do anything else, and I can just take the time out to just concentrate on the film. And it's really kind of been really kind of helpful to just, you know, so I think sometimes it's like just thinking outside the box, right? What is it that you're going to find that will help you stop or give you a bit of joy?
Absolutely.
Or make you feel a little bit less stressed? You know, I know, you know, lots of people say like walking in the woods and things is great, and getting out in nature and stuff like that. Or, you know,
that can literally feel too much for someone now at the start. It's too much. Literally on one of my clients' weekly sort of prescriptions, because I meet clients weekly basically, or bi-weekly depending on where they're at. And one of the tasks that week was to twice a day do not go to the toilet with your phone.
Yeah, I think I need that one.
Do you know, like, how on the face of it, how basic is that? But honestly, when you're burning out and when you operate on that high stress, your boundaries that you have within yourself, you might hear things people talk about boundaries with other people. Yeah, fine. This is boundaries actually with yourself.
Yeah.
Totally. When you go to the toilet twice today, no phone, nothing.
I'm gonna try it this afternoon.
Try it. Because don't take anything with you to the toilet.
You know, sometimes I'm like, it's the only chance I get to reply to messages.
Yeah.
Which is insane, right? Yeah. That you're spending time having a wee replying to messages because it's the only time in your day you're going to get to do them. Or it just feels like it's a wasted period of time otherwise.
There you go. As well, exactly. And I love that you've spoken to that, because honestly, that's going to be so powerful for your other listeners for this, because when you start understanding about, oh, that's stress. Oh, okay, I didn't realize that's a sign. It can also make you feel a bit like, oh my God, there's so much, you know, that I'm not doing right. And that's where I come in and say, no, again, this isn't about looking at things on how wrong you're getting things. It's not. It's highlighting that is a sign. And a lot of the knowledge, especially with women, a lot of the knowledge is actually going, oh, now I know. Great. You know, especially, you know, in our industry, I think there's a certain type of woman that you bar to be in financial services anyway. You know, you got to be strong characters. And it's having that energetic break for your nervous system to just calm down. Because it would prefer to operate on high stress and that constant doing, because it's struggling to come off. So it's like, it's not easy to calm down. So the coping mechanism is to keep you stressed, to keep you operating on that high level. And
let's be honest, once you're at that level, in your coping mechanisms that come in to maintain that, or to even de-stress, the coping mechanisms to try and de-stress are the ones that end up being not healthy. Like, exactly, you know, having too many takeaways because you haven't got the energy to make a decision about what to cook. You know, picking up a glass of wine because it de-stresses you once you've had it. You know,
doom scrolling, for example.
Doom scrolling.
Buying a load of rubbish that you're living in your wardrobe that you might not. You know, the dopamine hits that way because I've got all this success and I'm not enjoying it, so I need more. You know, that it can really feed into lots of different ways. So again, another really powerful thing that you've highlighted there. It shows up in lots of ways.
I mean, I'm a sucker for just booking stuff to do, you know, having something booked in to do. But it ends up being, when do I rest? So it is, and I am trying to make more of a conscious effort to just be like, actually, no, I need a weekend with nothing. Because otherwise, it is just that high level of stress constantly. You're on the go, you're doing stuff, even if it's not work stuff, you're just on the go, doing stuff, busy constantly. And it is your body going, well, I don't want you to de-stress. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah. And then eventually you do get to the point where you go, no, I need to. Yeah. I need to. Because I can't.
I'll be honest with you, Katy, if you don't do it, your body's going to be giving you the signs of you need to slow down. There's an amazing book actually called Your Body's Talking, Are You Listening? It's an amazing book. But if you're not listening, your body is going to make you so you have no choice than to stop, basically. Yeah. And that's where I kind of got to, like, my body was just like, you're not listening, you're not listening, you're not listening. And then it puts you on your backside, basically. And then you have no choice. So I want to help people go, you don't have to get to that point.
Yeah, let's not get there. Let's not get there.
I tell you what, burnout's a lot more harder to recover from than to prevent. Recovering from it takes a lot longer. Yeah, I can tell you that from experience.
Like, bless you. I'm sure none of us want to get there, right? And it's just trying to recognize the signs that you're heading that way, and then looking at what you can do to try and stop yourself getting there. And what you offer is one of those things that can help people avoid getting there. And I think your whole story around, you've been in this industry, you've done the job that all of us are doing across different parts of it as well. Mm-hmm. So you understand the stress from, not just the broker side, but the lender side as well. Mm-hmm. And because we all know that the lenders have as much stress as we do, it's just in a different place a lot of the time. So the whole industry is full of stress, and it's not just one side of it. Even if it sometimes feels like we're not helping each other, but I
know what you mean.
Yeah, but it's a difficult industry to work in, and I think we need to recognise that, and we need to do what we can to help ourselves and help each other. And it's one of the reasons I set the group up, to try and support and help women as much as possible. And I'm really glad we've got to have this conversation, because this is one of the kind of things that I wanted to be able to bring to the group, that to really help. And like you said, even if it just resonates, where someone's like, actually, do you know what? I'm going to the loo every time with my phone. Maybe I need to think about not just, even if it's just that kind of stuff. So what does your day-to-day routine look like now? Because you're still advising a bit, aren't you? So
say that again.
You're still advising on mortgages at the moment.
Yeah, so I sold my business last year, but I retained my client base as well. So I was, building up the coaching side more intentionally, because like I said before that, it was just very much, doing group workshops or, the odd one-to-one client and things. And it's really allowed me to sort of have the best of it, because I love advising. I love helping clients in this way still, but, probably not for too much longer, because the coaching's going really busy, which is great. But very much in the morning. It looks different day to day, I'll be honest with you, because what I use to regulate myself will literally depend on where I'm at. Today, for example, I said to you before, I've been to my boxing session this morning. Great one for me to manage good stress and connect to that powerful side of me, that not aggression, but power. Great for my nervous system, helps me de-stress. It lets me get a lot of clarity. I've also been and walked the dog this morning. I've replied to emails. I've got you today. And it's a little bit slower today because I've got my daughter started. She's just started back at school. So I've purposely made these coming days a little bit more spacious, so that I can be present for her. She's a little bit younger. But my day is breathwork every single day, whether it is in the morning and the evening, or just the morning or just the evening, again, depending on where I'm at. And it's very much, I have to move my body in some sort of capacity every day, whether it is just going for a walk, or I attend a dance class once a week. It's very important as women for us to connect to our play. Whatever that might look like, whether play is the gym or a walk or meet a coffee with friends. But yeah, working then all in between all of that. I was at acupuncture yesterday. I had a bath at some point this week, so
yeah,
again, there's a lot of me regulating my nervous system when it was actually quite dysregulated at the start of this week because of, end of the summer holidays.
Yeah.
It's knowing the signs and catching them and going, okay, I know what I need.
Yeah.
So it's very varied. If I had the same day every day, that would just not serve me well. So again, I've got to the point where, as I said about my career, it has been quite varied, and my routine is very varied, as they are for my clients, because we are all very individual. But work most days, but have that balance. And the main sort of program that I offer is Balance, Not Burnout. So I'm passionate about embodying what I teach.
Yeah, I love that, Balance, Not Burnout. It's so powerful, isn't it? And I think it is something that, as I said, us as women really need to kind of try and start focusing on. And there's a lot going on in the wider world as well as our industry that I think could impact our well-being. So I think for me, this feels like the right time to start focusing on that as a priority, rather than letting it kind of sit to the side and not really listening. So because I think that's too easy to do, isn't it?
But I absolutely, it can be, but it can also feel really challenging to do it as well. To say that yes can be really difficult, and I understand that. Most people in our society have probably done some sort of like what's called like CBT therapy, through anti-anxiety, all those sorts of things, and it's just looking at it. I actually did a post on my social media once, and it was like, sometimes talking about it just isn't enough. Talking therapy can be great. Absolutely. It can be phenomenal, but it doesn't necessarily address what's going on physiologically in the nervous system. So being able to put your body, rather than feeling a certain way, certain types of anxiousness or high stress every day, the ability to be able to down tune from that and create a relationship back with your body. One of my clients is actually a clinical psychologist. So technically, logically, she knows an awful lot. And talking therapy is called top down. Breathwork and more somatic work is what's called bottom up.
Yeah.
So the head, top down and bottom up, work extremely well together, and that's basically like a blend of what I do, because the body is not connected to the mind, so to speak, in that way. You can be very logical about things, but actually being able to have the ability to calm yourself down if you are feeling particularly anxious is an amazing tool, and that isn't taught. We're taught anti-anxiety needs logic. Anxiety is basically a physiological response. And again, it's that your body's talking. Are you listening? Are you able to listen to those signs? And then how amazing is it that you can do something about it? How amazing is that?
Yeah. Great. Fantastic. Thanks so much for talking with us. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I love talking with you anyway.
I love talking to you as well.
So I hope everyone listening has enjoyed this as well. And thanks so much for coming on and talking with us.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome.